Wednesday, everything is due. So by 10:45 p.m., everything you want graded is on the server, ready to go. Remember, you don't need any sheets. Just make sure you have your stuff turned into the server, your name's on it, all that stuff. And then I'm going to do my grading. Typically, it takes a day, sometimes 2 days, sometimes 3 days to fully do the grading. I'll go through and I'll go everyone's stuff I go through several times just to verify that what I have for your grade is what you should have received for it. Okay. So for the demo reel, you're going to go into After Effects, and I'm not going to use the actual pieces because by now you should be able to know what pieces you used for the assignments. You can always go back to see what those assignments were. We had videos, we had still images, and so you're just going to bring those into After Effects. So I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to go to my samples. And you can bring in the original videos you have, that's fine. If you have the video, this is just a random video that I have. I'm going to make sure it says sequence. I'm going to grab another one, so I just double click, grab another one. There we go. And then if you have a still image, you just click on the still image. I'm going to turn this sequence off. Make arm fly through. I'll go to like the end of this one. And so I'm just grabbing some still images and some different videos. All right. So you'll see the sequences are all the ones with the little animation thing next to it. If it's a video, same thing. You'll see a little video icon or something. The still images have just this single image icon. You grab all the stuff, you drag it onto the new comp, and the easy way to do this is you just hit sequence layer. You don't need any overlap on these. You can just do one right after the other. This is not a demo reel you would show the public. This is something that you would typically just show for the class. I use it as my way to say, okay, you turned in your drone, this is your drone. You turned in this, there's your stuff. I can kind of verify it. The still duration, I'm going to set this to 2 seconds. And then the use dimensions from, this doesn't matter right now. I'm going to verify it afterwards. So I'm just going to hit any one of these and then hit OK. Now I'm going to go up to my composition settings, and I'm going to make sure it's 960 by 540, which it is. 30 frames a second is what I always have it at anyway, so that's fine. And then I'm just going to go through and make sure they're all sized. So this video right here, Andy's, this is Andy as a rig. It's cut off. You can see that the bounding box is outside of my regular view. So I'm going to click off. I'm going to click on this, hit S, and then scale it down. Because I know the dimensions, it's 75%, gets it perfectly fit in there. I'll go to the next one. Oops, the Chickster's mixing the ground. Where'd you go? Chickster. I'm going to go to interpret footage main and say ignore that. There we go. Now that comes back. Same thing here. Just ignoring my alpha channels. Same thing there. Apparently same thing on everything. Yeah. Main ignore. All right, I guess we'll just go to the next one and see. Yep, same thing there. Mech arm. And that one, and then that one, which is Robo. All right, there we go. All right, so now I have all my pieces, one right after the other. There's no crazy transition. Like I said, it definitely helps to have a transition if you're going to show this to the world, but we're not, so it doesn't matter, right? Even these pieces, if I'm making a demo reel that I'm going to put out there to show my skills, it's timed, it's synced, there's animation that kind of flows from one piece to the next and so on. For this, we don't need to do that. So then we just do the same thing we did before. Add a media encoder, send it out as a media encoder file, a QuickTime file, H.264 file. Make sure you have your name on it, make sure it says demo reel, and make sure it says the class, okay? And then I only need, for the demo reel, just that last piece. For your drone, you're turning in still your movie, and you're still turning in your still for it. But for the demo reel, I just need the demo reel. If there's any other pieces, I didn't check the size. I think they're all good now. Yeah, all my other sizes were good. But typically, like your still images will come out huge. You have to scale them down a whole lot, like 20% or something, or 10%. And that's it. The demo reel is pretty straightforward, just like that. Questions on putting the demo reel together? No? All right. Cool. The last thing I want to cover, just because today's the last day I'm going to lecture talk. Wednesday is just work day, get your stuff turned in. Once you're done, you're done. But I do want to show the next couple classes. If you stay in 3D and you want to go on to the next classes, there's typically two that you would go into. One of them is MACA 2520. That's 3D modeling and rendering. So what we would do in that class is we learn how to model stuff at a more in-depth level. This one here, this is a mech arm. This is one of the projects that we did inside of the 2520. We're basically making a mechanical item. So think of like the drone, but now we're actually creating something that has a lot more hinges, a lot more movement, and then creating a way to make all those things, actually move. Also looking at different textures that we could create on there apart from just like flat materials.
Is that class also in Cinema 4D?
Nope, this one's in Maya. So every class after this one is now using Maya for the 3D software. So there's an example. Here's another example of a mech arm. This is, I think, the same mech arm, except this one I fly like into the mech arm and then come out the other side. You see some wires going through that. I gotta fix that.
Are all those materials applied inside Maya?
Yep. Yeah, this one's rendered all right inside Maya. Just because of the complex camera movement, I needed to do everything right in there. Here's another one. So same thing here. This is a mechanical object. There's a lot of things on his fingers and joints and all that stuff. And then the big thing here is the texture, getting that texture to look like rusty and dirty and all that. And this was something I used for my After Effects class to like have the animation of a hologram. So he's like interacting with stuff that then I later put inside After Effects to have him actually like interact with a hologram device. Oops. All right, so that's 2520. And then, have anything else there? No, I'll just go to my organization. I started organizing stuff, like actually organizing stuff. So now I have a 2540 folder. I have all the assignments right there. So in the 2540, this is animation. So we focus strictly on just the animation and rigging parts of things. So think of like you animated the drone, spinning the propellers, moving up. Well, there's a lot more stuff that we can do. We start off with bouncing ball. This is a above and beyond student doing a bouncing ball. And this is just a rough. This is a play blast of the animation, just a preview of it. And then it goes there. Woo. All right, and then here is the, oops, that's still the play blast. Where is that one? There it is. And this is a more rendered out version, not with the ramp part yet, just that. Okay, so we start off with just basic simple stuff, bouncing ball, and then we move into eventually doing character animation, which is our last project. This is that same one, that same student. Back then, we would actually grab a clip from a movie and animate the characters to a clip from a movie. We've simplified it since. I don't know what movie that is, but some movie where someone gets a carrot in the eye. But all the same principles from understanding how to animate a bouncing ball carry over right all the way through to that one. We do walk cycles, we do pickup assignments, a whole bunch of stuff. Now it's really an introduction to character animation. There's no way we could get into the intense depths that we would need to for it. Let me scoot that over for a second. And I'll show you one of my past students who's an animator. He posted something the other day. which I think is pretty neat. There we go. So here is one of his posts. He says, really cool, I just got done working on animation. So there he is, Matt London, animator for Mortal Kombat. So I think that's pretty sweet. He was able to actually animate for Mortal Kombat. He's also done animation for Target. He's done animation for several things. That's I don't know. That's on his Facebook. And then where is it? Oh, wrong Bob. And this is another one of my past students who's done animation for movies. You can see there's Ant-Man, Turtles. I don't know what that is. He's done Star Wars stuff. He's done Transformers. Again, there's no way that in my one class you're going to get the same depth that you would need to work on this stuff. They've worked their way through the ranks to get that. But it is a good stepping stone to see, like, what is animation, how do we use it, and so on. You'll find with 3D that even though we have the modeling class and we have this animation class, that's really very limited to what is available in 3D that's out there. Where did that go? There it is. This is a software called SpeedTree. The whole purpose of the software is to model trees. That's like its main purpose. And it's thinking right now. It's a lot quicker. There we go. Once it starts going. And the neat thing about it is, like, you can just adjust sliders and you can adjust what things look like and how things interact. Actually, let me just make a new one real quick. And this is a job, like someone at a company, at a big company, this is what they do. If they need trees for environments, there's a guy who builds trees for the environments, along with other things like mountains, and take your environment assignment and just make it more realistic, right? No, I will wait for the program. All right, or I will skip over to Google while we're waiting. So these are all trees that were done inside a SpeedTree, and the neat thing about it is that it's very quick. Like, literally, you're like, make a trunk, make branches, make little branches, make twigs, make leaves, and it's very progressive as to how you're able to move along. Even like this here, so I'm going through a tutorial of how to use SpeedTree because I've never used it before, and like that is like an hour-long tutorial of how to make that tree, and he's obviously taking his time. But all of this stuff, like the detail on them is amazing. Okay, so that's one avenue that some people can go into. This is another one. This is, what are you doing to me? All right, I think I'm just going to quit SpeedTree because you're just locked up, aren't you? Yes, I know that. This is another avenue. This is Houdini, which is VFX stuff. I think I've mentioned Houdini stuff before. But again, this is one of my summer projects, is to get more familiar with Houdini so that I know how to do more things in it. It's immensely powerful. It just is a huge learning curve that goes along with it. Stop rendering. Like, even more than you would think with like regular 3D stuff. Everything seems to be going super slow. There we go. All right. So this is a 3D model from Maya that I brought in. And for this thing that I'm trying to do, it's going to rain down on him from above. The rain is going to splash, and then other raindrops will like run down the side of him. So as I hit play, you can see the rain coming down. And then if I stop this for a second and zoom in, And I will actually turn his geometry, there it is, back on. So you can see the rain running down his face, and then as I hit play further, we should be able to see some like splashes in here. It's a little hard to see because of how slow it's going, but they are there. And again, this is a job, this is a software that people use every day to do this kind of stuff. One of my past students does environment design with Houdini. He uses a couple other programs, ZBrush and some other stuff too, but that's like his main thing. It's thinking. Now this works a lot different than other 3D software, so it's not like in Cinema where I'm building something as one piece. And here I'm working with what are called nodes, and these are, if it loads, there it is, oops. These are all the nodes. So this is the grid that makes it rain. These are different things to control the direction of the rain. This is controlling what the rain is actually doing as far as how it moves. So if I go into that, these are all nodes controlling how that thing is working. This is why it's so different from all the other 3D softwares, because the other 3D softwares have this system, but you can still interface like directly on the software, directly on the main pieces. Here, everything has to go through these different areas. And basically, that's one of the powerful things about Houdini is that I can create something that says, okay, when the particle hits, I want you to save where it hits. And then one thing I want to do is splash. So I have another one that splashes. Another one I want to do is run down the cheek. Another thing that I can do, which is the next step of this, is to create what's called a wet map so that the area where the water runs down stays like it's wet. Okay, so that would be another thing, another branch over here or somewhere else that I'll have to do to get that whole interaction to happen. Immensely powerful, like insane, but very cool. Okay, so I just want you to see those things because it's, you know, the Cinema class is kind of the starting point for all these other branches, and this is still only a small fraction of things. Our goal in MACA is to introduce you to these and prepare you for different areas of what you might want to go into. You might want to be a character animator, a character modeler, environment modeler, dynamics, that kind of thing. And since I'm showing student work, I guess I'll show, oops. There. This is what Kyle does. He does visual effects for movies and stuff. This is an older reel, 2016. Gallery. There it is. So he does all the like liquids and food and dynamic stuff that's inside there. And he uses Maya as one of his softwares and Houdini as his other software. Very cool. And you can see Hotel Transylvania, Claudia Chance Meatballs, so on and so on and so on. And here's some plugins that he wrote too, which are really cool. So this one's neat, where he takes a piece of geometry and he makes it into a cloud. And then he's showing he can subtract stuff. And if he hits play, it goes away. And here's all of his other stuff. Same thing here, like here's a practical example. A bunch of spheres, hit OK, and then boom, you have a cloud. Now when it renders, that looks like a pretty realistic looking cloud. Sweet. All right, so again, just more stuff that's out there. In 3D, there's like a million different jobs at a million different places doing a million different things. So if you're interested, those are the two classes. There's also a Nuke class. It touches on 3D as far as like here's stuff you can do, but we don't get into 3D as far as building 3D stuff inside.